How I spoke. My first sentence in English. Hello, my name is Ronnie. I am learning English and I want to share my story. It's a simple story, but it's very special to me. It's about the first time I ever spoke in English. You can read my story. Maybe it will help you too. I live in a small town in India. I like English, but I didn't speak it well at first. I learned English in school, but we didn't speak much. We mostly read and wrote. We studied grammar, but we didn't practice talking. I wanted to speak. I wanted to talk to people in English. One day I went to the market with my sister. We were buying fruit when a foreign man entered the shop. He looked lost. He spoke to the shopkeeper, but the shopkeeper didn't understand him. Then the man looked at me. He asked, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" My heart beat fast. I was scared, but I wanted to try. I remembered one sentence. I said, "Yes, a little." He smiled and said, "Where is the nearest bus stop?" I knew the place. I wanted to help. I thought about the words, then said, "Go straight. Turn left. The bus stop is near the bank." He said, "Thank you very much." I replied, "You are welcome." He walked away, and I felt so happy. It was a short talk, only 2 sentences, but it was my first real conversation in English. I had used my English to help someone. I felt proud. After that day, I decided to learn more. I started watching English videos. I listened to English songs. I wrote new words in my notebook. I began speaking English with my sister. We asked each other easy questions like, "What is your name?" and "How are you?" Then I found an English class in my town and joined. The teacher was a friendly man. He told us, "You don't need to be perfect. Just speak." I liked his way of teaching. On the first day, he asked us, "Why do you want to learn English?" I said, "I want to talk to people." He replied, "That's a good reason. English is for communication. Don't worry about mistakes. Use English every day." In class, we didn't use many books. We talked a lot. We played games. We asked questions and answered them. We worked in pairs. We told small stories. Every day, I felt more confident. My teacher often said, "Don't learn only grammar. Don't try to be perfect. Just speak. Speak slowly. Speak simply. Speak every day." I remembered his words and kept speaking, even when I made mistakes. It was okay. I also made friends in class. We practiced together. We sent messages in English. We shared jokes and laughed. Learning became fun. Chapter 2. My first job in English. It was Thursday. That day was my first day at my new job. I felt a little nervous. I woke up early. I dressed nicely. I went to the cafe. It was small but very nice. Many people came in the morning. They wanted coffee, tea, and food. A woman opened the door. She was the manager. She smiled and said, "Good morning." I said, "Good morning." She asked, "Are you Ronnie?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Come in. I will show you the cafe." I followed her. She showed me the counter, the tables, and the kitchen. Then she said, "You will take orders. You will bring food and drinks. You will clean the tables." I said, "Okay." She smiled and said, "Don't worry, I will help you." I felt better. Then I met another worker. His name was Tom. He was from England. He was young and friendly. He said, "Welcome to the team." I said, "Thank you." He added, "If you need help, just ask." I smiled and said, "Okay, thank you." At first, everything was new. I didn't understand all the words. I heard words like menu, order, tray, and receipt. I didn't know what they meant, but I watched and listened. I learned. A customer came to me. She said, "Can I have a black coffee and a muffin?" I said, "Yes, of course." I went to the counter and gave the order to Tom. Then I brought the coffee and muffin to the customer. I said, Here you are, she said, Wang. Thank you. I said, You're welcome. I felt happy. I spoke English. I helped people. I learned new words. I heard the same words again and again. This helped me remember them. I didn't write them down. I just listened and used them. This is how I learned. After some time, I learned more words. I learned how to say, would you like sugar? Or eat in or take away. I learned to say, enjoy your meal and have a nice day. These were small sentences, but very useful. At the cafe, I spoke to many people. I spoke to customers, workers, and my manager. I used English all day. I made mistakes, but nobody laughed. They helped me. They understood I was learning. Every evening I went home and thought about my day. I thought about the words I heard and the things I said. Sometimes I looked up new words in a dictionary, but I didn't study much. I just remembered them because I used them. At school, I told my teacher about my job. She said, "That is a great way to learn. You use English every day. You hear real English. You speak real English. This is very good." I felt proud. She told the class, "You don't need to learn all the words from a book. You learn best when you use English in real life. Speak, listen, read, and write a little every day. This is the best method." In the next class, we talked about jobs. Every student talked about their job or what they wanted to do. We spoke in pairs. Then we told our stories to the whole class. I talked about the cafe. I said, "I like my job. I talk to people. I learn English." My classmates listened. They smiled. They asked me questions. I answered them. I learned something important. When I speak English, I feel strong. I feel happy. I feel like I can do more. I want to learn more. I want to speak better. Now, every day is a new lesson for me. At school, I learn with my teacher and classmates. At work, I learn with real people. I use new words. I try new sentences. I listen carefully. I speak slowly. I am not afraid. This is my way to learn English. I read. I speak. I listen. I work. I enjoy the process. I don't worry about mistakes. I just keep going. If you are learning English, try to use it every day. Speak with people. Listen to them. Read something small. Learn new words by using them. This is a good way. This is my way. And it works. Chapter 3. My first day. Speaking with confidence. The next day was Thursday. It was the day I started working at the cafe. I felt excited, but I was also a little nervous. I wanted to speak well. I wanted people to understand me. I wanted to use good pronunciation. In the morning, I remembered what my teacher said about pronunciation. She talked about a method called shadowing. So, before going to work, I picked up my phone and searched for an English video. I found a short interview. The speaker talked slowly and clearly. I listened and repeated. I spoke after him. I tried to say the words the same way he did. I stood in front of a mirror and watched how my mouth moved. I practiced for 10 minutes. Then, I felt ready. At the cafe, I said hello to my manager. She said, "Good morning, Ronnie." I replied, "Good morning." She told me, "You will work at the counter today. You will take orders from the customers." I said, "Okay, I will do my best." The first customer came in. She said, "Can I have a tea and a croissant, please?" I smiled and said, "Yes. 1 tea and 1 croissant." I said it clearly and slowly. She understood me. I felt happy. Later, I spoke to more people. I tried to say every word clearly. I used what I had learned from shadowing. I thought about my mouth and the sounds. I didn't speak fast. I took my time. Some words were hard, but I tried again. One man said, "Your English is very good." I smiled and said, "Thank you. I am learning." That made me feel proud. I felt more confident. I wanted to speak even more. After work, I went home and practiced again. I picked the same video. I listened and repeated. I tried to sound more like the speaker. I listened carefully. I copied his voice. Then, I found a short story online. It was about a girl and her dog. The story was easy. I understood all the words. I read it out loud. I recorded myself. I listened to my voice. Then I compared it with a native speaker reading the same story. I heard the difference. I practiced the hard words. I said them again and again. The next day at school, I told my teacher about my shadowing practice. She said, "That is great. If you do this every day, your pronunciation will improve a lot." I said, "I will try." She smiled and said, "Good." In class, we practiced pronunciation together. The teacher played short sentences. We listened and repeated, again and again. Some students laughed. It was fun, but we were learning. Then we spoke in pairs. We asked each other questions and answered with full sentences. We focused on clear pronunciation. We helped each other. Sometimes we said things wrong, but we laughed and tried again. My partner was from Brazil. He spoke well. I asked, "How do you practice speaking?" He said, "I talk to myself. I stand in front of the mirror and speak English. It helps." I thought that was a good idea. I wanted to try that too. After school, I went to football training. I met my new friends. We spoke English together. We talked about football, food, and our homes. Sometimes I said words in a funny way, but they understood me. They helped me say them better. One boy from Japan said, "Your pronunciation is good." I said, "Thank you. I do shadowing." He asked, "What is that?" I explained the technique. He said, "I want to try that too." We both smiled. I learned that good pronunciation is not about being perfect. It is about trying. It is about listening and repeating. It is about using your mouth in a new way. I learned that it is okay to make mistakes. People understand. People help. I just need to practice every day. At home, I spoke to myself. I read out loud. I sang English songs. I repeated lines from movies. I shadowed short videos. I learned a little every day. My pronunciation was not perfect, but it was better. I felt more confident. I spoke more. I enjoyed speaking. If you want to speak better, don't be afraid. Listen to native speakers. Repeat after them. Copy their sounds. Use shadowing. Use your voice. Speak out loud. This is how I learned to speak English with confidence. Chapter 4. How to Learn Grammar. It was Saturday morning. I didn't go to school that day, but I still wanted to learn something. I sat in my room and thought about yesterday's lesson. Our teacher said we can learn grammar without studying too much. That sounded good to me. I wanted to speak well, but I didn't like grammar books. I remembered she said reading helps with grammar. So I opened a short story on my phone. It was a story about a boy and his dog. It was easy, and I understood almost every word. I read it slowly. I looked at the sentences. I noticed how the words went together. The boy said, "I walk my dog every day." Later he said, "Yesterday I walked my dog to the park." I saw the difference. Walk and walked. Now I understood how to use the past tense. I didn't study any rules, but I saw the example. That made it easier to remember. I read more stories. I paid attention to how people say things. When they talked about now, they used words like is, are, go, and play. When they talked about the past, they said was, were, went, and played. These examples helped me. In the afternoon, I went to work. The cafe was busy. Many people came. I had to speak a lot. I said things like, "Would you like something to eat?" and "Do you want sugar in your coffee?" These were simple questions, but I remembered hearing them in stories too. I also heard my manager say, "He is making a sandwich," and "They are cleaning the table." I knew this was called the present continuous. She wasn't teaching me grammar, but I heard it many times. I understood how it worked. When I came home, I opened a website, www.grammarinlessons.com. I chose Level 1. There were many short grammar lessons. Each lesson had examples, no long explanations. I liked that. I read a lesson about the present simple. The examples were, "She likes tea." "He plays football." "I go to school." I already knew those sentences. Now I saw why we say likes and not like. It was easier when I saw it in a sentence. Next, I read about the past simple. It said, "I watched a film." "She cooked dinner." I had seen these in the story earlier. Now I understood them better. I didn't need to remember hard rules. I just noticed the changes. On Sunday, I didn't work. I decided to practice speaking. I stood in front of the mirror. I talked about my day. I said, "Today is Sunday. I don't work today. I wake up at 8 o'clock. I eat breakfast. Then I watch TV." I spoke slowly. I thought about the grammar. It wasn't perfect, but it was okay. Then I talked about yesterday. I said, "Yesterday was Saturday. I worked at the cafe. I spoke to many people. I made coffee. I cleaned the tables. I felt happy." I used the past tense. I didn't use a grammar book. I only used what I read and what I heard. I also remembered that our teacher said shadowing helps with grammar too. So I played a short video. A girl was talking about her weekend. I listened to her. Then I said the same words after her. I copied her. I listened to how she said the sentences. I said them too. It helped a lot. On Monday, I went to school again. Our teacher gave us a small test. It wasn't hard. She read a sentence and we had to say if it was in the present or past. I got almost all the answers right. I felt good. She said, "You all did a great job. You are learning grammar through listening and reading. This is how babies learn their first language, and you are doing the same." After class, I talked to my friend from Brazil. He said, "I used to hate grammar, but now I don't mind it." I said, "Yes, me too. Now I read and listen more. It helps." He agreed. Later, I went to work. My manager said, "You are doing better every day." I smiled and said, "Thank you." I believed it was true. I could speak better. I used better grammar. And I didn't study grammar books. This method worked for me. I read stories. I listened to English. I did shadowing. I spoke about my day. I didn't worry about grammar rules. I just used English. If you want to learn grammar, don't try to remember everything. Read, listen, speak, and use English. Grammar will come to you, just like it came to me. Chapter 5. How to Practice Speaking. It was Tuesday morning. I went to school again. I felt good. I wanted to learn more English. I sat in my chair and waited for the teacher. She walked in and said, "Today we will talk about speaking." I was happy. Speaking was my favorite part of English. I wanted to speak better. The teacher asked, "Do you practice speaking at home?" Some students said yes. Some said no. One student said, "I want to speak, but I have no one to speak with." The teacher nodded. Yes, this is a problem for many people. Then she told us something interesting. She said, You don't always need another person to speak with. You can speak by yourself. This is called self-talk. You can talk about your day. You can talk about what you see. You can talk about anything. I listened carefully. I wanted to try it. The teacher gave an example. She said, "When you wake up in the morning, you can say, 'Good morning. I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. I am going to school.'" She smiled. "You can do this every day. It will help you speak better." Then she gave us one more idea. You can record yourself. You can listen to your voice. You can hear your mistakes. You can try again. She added, "Don't be afraid. Nobody will laugh. It's only for you." Later, we played a game in class. It was a speaking game. We worked in pairs. We asked and answered questions. I asked my partner, "What do you like to eat?" He said, "I like pizza." I said, "Me too." Then he asked me, "What do you do on weekends?" I said, "I play football." The teacher walked around and listened. She said, "Very good. Keep speaking." I felt more confident. After school, I walked to the cafe. I thought about the lesson. I wanted to speak more. I looked at the things around me. I said in English, "This is a street. That is a car." I saw a dog. The dog was running. I spoke to myself quietly. At work, I spoke to customers. I said, "What would you like?" Or, "Here is your coffee." I tried to speak clearly. I didn't worry about mistakes. I knew that practice would help me. One customer talked to me. She said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I am from India." She said, "Your English is nice." I said, "Thank you. I am learning." We spoke for 2 minutes. I felt proud. After work, I went home. I stood in front of the mirror. I spoke about my day. I said, "Today I went to school. I learned about speaking. I went to work. I made coffee. I spoke to a customer." I looked at myself. I listened to my words. I repeated some sentences. Later, I called my friend from school. Her name was Anna. She was from Spain. I asked, "Do you want to practice English with me?" She said, "Yes, of course." We talked on the phone for 10 minutes. We asked easy questions. We answered. We spoke slowly. It was fun. Before I went to sleep, I played an English video. It was a short story. I listened and repeated. I did shadowing. I spoke after the voice. I copied the sounds. I enjoyed it. The next day, I did the same. I spoke with Anna again. We talked about food. I said, "I like rice and vegetables." She said, "I like pasta." I asked, "Do you cook at home?" She said, "Yes, I cook every day." I also talked to myself in English. I said, "Now I am walking. I see a shop. I go inside. I buy water." These were small sentences, but they helped me. At school, our teacher asked, "Who practiced speaking?" I raised my hand. Other students did too. She said, "Great. Speaking is the best way to learn a language. Speak every day. Don't wait for perfect grammar. Just speak." I learned something important. I didn't need to wait for the perfect moment. I didn't need to speak only at school. I could speak anytime. I could speak anywhere. Now I speak more. I speak with friends. I speak at work. I speak to myself. I even dream in English sometimes. If you want to speak better, speak often. Speak with people. Speak to yourself. Repeat what you hear. Use your voice. Use your English. This is how I practice speaking, and it works for me. Chapter 6. How to Learn by Listening. It was Thursday morning. I woke up early. I felt good. I wanted to learn more English. I remembered what my teacher said the day before. She said, "If you want to speak well, you must listen a lot." I wanted to try this. I picked up my phone and found a short English story online. I played it and listened. The speaker talked slowly. I understood many words. I listened again. This time, I understood even more. I listened a third time. Now I understood the whole story. It was about a boy and his dog. It was a simple story, but I learned new words. I learned how to say full sentences. I listened to how the speaker said each word. Then I repeated after him. After that, I went to school. Our teacher said, "Today we will learn about listening. Listening is a very good way to learn English. It helps your speaking. It helps your grammar. It helps everything." She told us how to do it. She said, "Listen to English every day. You can listen to short stories, news, or simple conversations. You don't have to understand every word. Just listen and enjoy." I like that idea. She also said, "It's good to listen many times. The first time, just listen. The second time, try to understand. The third time, repeat after the speaker. This is called shadowing." I already knew about shadowing. I used it often. It helped me with pronunciation. It also helped me hear grammar. Our teacher played a short audio. It was a girl talking about her family. She said, "My name is Emily. I live with my parents and my brother. My brother is older than me." I understood most of it. I listened again. Then I repeated what she said. The teacher smiled. She said, "Well done." After school, I walked home. I put in my earphones and played an English podcast. The speakers talked slowly. They spoke about food and travel. I liked the topic. I listened and smiled. I didn't understand every word, but I got the idea. One speaker said, "I really enjoy trying new food." I repeated it. "I really enjoy trying new food." I said it again and again. Now I remembered the sentence. At home, I ate lunch. Then I went to the cafe. While I cleaned the tables, I said some sentences in English. I said, "This table is clean. That table is dirty. I am cleaning now." I spoke to myself. It helped me remember new words. After work, I went home. I wanted to listen more. I played a short video on my laptop. It was about a woman who loved animals. She talked about her cat and dog. She spoke clearly. I understood her well. I listened to the video twice. Then I wrote down some new words. Not everything, just the words I liked. I wrote animal lover, pet, and feed. I said each word out loud. Then I used them in sentences. I said, "I am an animal lover. I want a pet. I feed my cat every day." Now I understood the words better. I learned them by listening and speaking. The next morning, I listened to the same video again. I remembered more. The words felt easy. The sentences felt natural. I felt happy. At school, I talked to Anna. I said, "I listen to English every day now." She said, "Me too. I listen when I cook. I listen when I walk. It helps a lot." Our teacher said, "If you listen to English for just 15 minutes every day, your English will grow fast. You don't need a book. You don't need grammar rules. Just listen and enjoy." So I did that every day. I listened in the morning. I listened before bed. I listened while waiting for the bus. I used my time to learn. Sometimes I didn't understand much. That was okay. I kept listening. Every time I learned more. My ears got used to English. My brain learned the sounds. I heard the words more clearly. Now I can understand people better when they talk to me. I don't always ask, "Can you repeat?" I can answer faster. I feel more confident. If you want to speak English well, first listen a lot. Listen every day. Choose easy things. Repeat the words. Copy the sentences. Use them when you speak. This is how I learn by listening, and it really works.